Welcome. I'm Liz LaJoy, the Zen Money Strategist and CFO. We are here today to talk about decision making as a business owner, money mindset, and all the things that wrangles up and how you can fix that in your business and beyond. In this micro training, we're going to walk through one of the primary steps in the Zen money process, which is looking at how you make decisions around money. What is happening in your head when financially you say, I am going to purchase this thing. I am going to hire that person. I am going to pay myself $1 million. Let's do that one. Whatever it is, there's a piece of our puzzle, piece of our brain that gets involved that sometimes holds us back. So I want to show you this really nice visual model that goes through the decision maker process versus a traditional money mindset process and how you can move to the first one and not let the second one, our old habits and our old stories, hold you back. So let's dive into that right now.
So what we're looking at here is what's considered a standard decision-making loop. And this is where people who have very critical thinking skills tend to like to think about how they make decisions. So in the middle, right, we have an event or a decision-making situation where we're basically asking ourselves what happened. And first of all, we have an opportunity, right, that comes in and we look at it, we observe it. And in that observation, we're sending back to our brain or the situation signals, right? And then based on our observation and those signals, we start to orient ourselves around how we want to think about it, feel about it, ultimately come to a decision, but we first have to orient ourselves. And the orientation process is all about understanding. So we have to put it in language that we ourselves are going to understand. And from there, after we've gained some version of understanding that makes sense to our brains, right? Again, information about this event, we're going to come to a point of decision. And in that decision making, we use some prediction, right? We're sitting there saying, all right, I know something about this potential, let's say, sending of money to somebody, right? I observe what's happening, what are the ins and outs about it. I orient myself and I come to an understanding about what that might look like. And then I make a decision, which is based on predictions of if I follow A, B, and C, then this financial decision will ultimately help me. And then we move over here to act. These all have little arrows too, to action. And based on that decision, right, we act around this money event. And in the process of acting, we learn, okay? So that is a standard analytical way to think about processing monetary decisions. We observe, we use the signals that we observe to orient ourselves around yes or no, I want to learn more. We use that to understand more about it, which allows us to come to a decision, which is based on some version of prediction. And then we act on that decision and we learn from it. And then the cycle starts all over again and it goes around and around. What's interesting is that this is a little bit different than what happens for many of us around our money decisions when we're hung up around things. So a common mindset loop might look a little more like this. We have our money event, same money event, but whereas before we had an observation from an analytical standpoint, we actually get an emotional trigger. And that emotional trigger signals us to orient ourselves around old money stories. That might mean when you were 7 and you watched your mom write out checks to cover utilities and rent and there never seemed to be enough money. Those old money stories might be around how women aren't supposed to earn money, only men. Those old money stories might mean that it's easy to get money. Whatever it is, these signals orient us back around to whatever we're habituated to in our subconscious around money. So what happens then here is those signals lead us to our money stories. Again, we go through this understanding period, but again and again, it's based on our old money stories, not necessarily reality, it's perceived reality. And then we go over here to when our decision making needs to happen. And we, instead of making a clean and clear decision, we tend to orient it based on old habits. So if we're in the habit of always having never enough money because that's how we live our lives, guess what? If we are used to having that be our money reality, we will create that money reality again based on these old habits. Again, we use some kind of prediction here, but it might not be very analytically oriented. It might just be based on what you're used to doing, what feels normal. And there's a certain comfort level in the normal, even if we know it's bad for us. So then we make a decision based on old habits, we act on it accordingly, and it's a reaction versus an action because we're just doing what we're used to doing, which is that knee-jerk gut response. And then we learn again, but guess what we learn? That our old habits and old patterns will always be maintained. So I want to encourage you to think about how you're making financial decisions right now. And if it's in this model, this common reactionary model, or if it can be in this new Zen money oriented approach, which is, look, money in and of itself isn't positive or negative. The decisions we make about it really can be quite analytical if we let them be. And if we take away the emotion, it makes it way easier to feel great about the decisions you're making and to make them happen more quickly and more to your advantage.
Was that helpful in clarifying maybe how you're currently making decisions around spending in your business or in your personal life and how you might be able to shift that for the better? People who are successful in business really have some time taken to look at numbers from an analytical standpoint. And many of us don't really like that. We get into this place where we feel uncomfortable or money's not for us, or we have this story that says, I don't know how to handle numbers. I'm not good at this. There'll never be enough. All of that good stuff. If we take some time to pay attention to that while we're working on the actual nitty gritty, what needs to get cleaned up in my business to make sure that I'm really profitable and that money's flowing the way I want it to, if we can do all that at the same time, you're going to go so much further, so much faster, and it's going to feel amazing. So if you want to hear more about this and the other steps of the Zen Money Map process, all you have to do this for free is to join my Zen Money Mastery Workshop series. Just click the link below and you'll get everything delivered right to your inbox that'll get you started thinking about this, learning about this at a deeper level so that you can move your business from zero to Zen as quickly as you want to.